Tokyo is the ultimate hypercity. Over 37 million people, hyper-efficient bullet trains, and towering glass skyscrapers. But beneath this technological wonderland lies a terrifying geological reality. Three massive tectonic plates are grinding directly underneath Tokyo's foundation. It's not a matter of if a monster earthquake will strike beneath the capital, but when. The Japanese government projects there is a 70% chance of a magnitude 7.3 earthquake striking directly beneath the Tokyo metropolitan area within the next 30 years. To put that into perspective, the official disaster estimates are staggering. We are talking about up to 18,000 projected deaths, roughly 400,000 destroyed buildings, and an estimated 8.4 million stranded commuters. The total economic damage, 83 trillion yen. That's over $500 billion. In June of 2026, the Japanese government officially rewrote its 10-year disaster master plan with one explicit, desperate goal: to cut those devastating numbers in half. But can they actually pull it off? Or is Tokyo simply too big to survive? To understand if Tokyo will survive, you have to realize that there are actually two different Tokyos. First, there is the Tokyo of tomorrow. These are the sleek, modern steel and glass skyscrapers. They don't fight the earthquake, they dance with it. These buildings are engineered with seismic isolation. They sit on giant rubber pads or fluid-filled dampers that absorb the ground's lateral energy. When a quake hits, the earth slides underneath the building, while giant multi-ton internal pendulums, acting as tuned mass dampers, sway in the opposite direction to keep the tower balanced. It's incredibly effective. But then, there is the other Tokyo. This is the wooden belt, crowded residential neighborhoods built decades ago with older seismic codes. In these dense pockets of the city, the primary threat isn't actually the buildings falling down. It's what happens immediately after. Historically, Tokyo's greatest enemy has always been fire. In the legendary 1923 Great Kanto earthquake, firestorms did far more damage than the shaking itself, burning the city to ash. Even today, Japanese officials estimate that 70% of all projected damage and deaths in a Tokyo megaquake will be caused by fire. And the culprit? It's sitting right in your walls. When the ground shakes violently, power lines snap and gas mains rupture. But the real danger occurs when the power is turned back on. Damaged electrical appliances and severed wires spark, igniting compromised buildings. This is why Japan's revised 2026 disaster plan has launched an unprecedented, aggressive campaign, installing seismic circuit breakers in almost 100% of households in Tokyo and surrounding prefectures by 2035. These smart breakers detect seismic waves and immediately cut off electricity to the home before a fire can even start. It is a simple, mechanical solution to prevent a citywide firestorm. But preventing fires is only half the battle. What happens to the people? Tokyo's transit system is a marvel of the world, but it relies on absolute precision. In a massive earthquake, the entire rail network instantly shuts down. When that happens, 8.4 million commuters will be instantly stranded. In the past, the plan was to send everyone to emergency shelters. But the government has finally run the math. Tokyo's shelters simply do not have the capacity for millions of stranded people. Because of this, the 2026 plan shifts to a radical new strategy: shelter at home. Instead of relying on the state, Tokyo is asking its citizens to turn their own apartments into survival bunkers. The goal is to raise the target to 100% of households, stockpiling at least 3 days of food, securing heavy furniture to the walls to prevent crushing injuries, and running annual earthquake drills in every high-rise residential building. If your building is structurally sound, you stay put, you wait it out. So, could Tokyo survive another great earthquake? If we are talking about the city's modern infrastructure, the bullet trains, the high-tech skyscrapers, the utility networks, the answer is yes. Tokyo is arguably the most seismically prepared city on Earth. But the real wild card isn't the steel. It's the sheer density of human life, the aging wooden districts, and the looming threat of firestorms. Tokyo's survival won't just depend on its world-class engineering. It will depend on whether its 37 million residents are ready to survive in the dark, on their own, for the critical first 72 hours. Tokyo is doing everything it can to prepare for its inevitable day of reckoning. What is your city doing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the engineering of our world. Let's go deeper into the actual geology of why Tokyo is the most seismically threatened megacity on Earth. Most earthquake zones deal with one major fault line. Tokyo sits directly on top of a geological nightmare known as a triple junction. This is where three massive tectonic plates, the Pacific Plate, the Philippine Sea Plate, and the Eurasian Plate, all converge, grinding and sliding past and under one another in a slow-motion car crash. When the Philippine Sea Plate pushes beneath the Eurasian Plate, it drags the crust down with it until the stress becomes too great, and the crust violently snaps back upward. That is what causes a megathrust earthquake. But Tokyo also faces the threat of what seismologists call epicentral, or inland earthquakes. These are shallower quakes, occurring directly beneath the city itself. Because the rupture happens so close to the surface, the seismic energy doesn't have time to dissipate through miles of rock. It hits the city with absolute raw violence. This is exactly what happened during the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923. That single magnitude 7.9 event leveled the capital, killed over 140,000 people, and serves as the dark benchmark for every disaster plan Japan designs today. Now look at how modern engineering attempts to defy this geological reality. If you stand in the middle of Shinjuku during a major earthquake, you will witness something truly surreal. The skyscrapers will begin to sway, not just a few inches, but several feet back and forth. To an outsider, it looks like a catastrophic failure. To an engineer, it is beautiful. This is resonance in action. During the devastating 2011 Tohoku earthquake, which struck hundreds of miles away, Tokyo's skyscrapers swayed continuously for minutes. The buildings survived because they were designed to be flexible, but flexibility creates its own problems. If a building sways too much, the internal structural elements can snap, or the building can collide with its neighbor. To prevent this, Japan pioneered base isolation technology. Imagine cutting a massive 50-story skyscraper completely off its foundation and placing it on top of giant sandwich-like layers of rubber and steel, interspersed with heavy lead plugs. When the ground violently jerks left and right, these rubber bearings deform, acting like a car's suspension system. The earth moves, but the building above it stays relatively still. For the towers that are too tall or heavy for base isolation, engineers install tuned mass dampers. Inside the upper floors of Tokyo's most iconic towers sit massive steel blocks weighing hundreds of tons, suspended by steel cables and controlled by hydraulic arms. When wind or seismic waves push the building to the left, computer-controlled sensors instantly shift this massive weight to the right. By counteracting the building's momentum, these dampers effectively cancel out the destructive sway. But as impressive as this technology is, it creates a false sense of security, because the real threat to Tokyo isn't the shiny glass towers. It is the wooden belt, or Kyoju Shigaichi, the sprawling, older residential rings surrounding the city center. These neighborhoods feature thousands of wooden-framed homes packed tightly along alleyways, so narrow you can barely walk a bicycle through them. Many of these structures were built before the strict seismic code revisions of 1981. If a major quake strikes during dinner time, when millions of households are using gas stoves, hundreds of localized fires will ignite simultaneously. In a normal disaster, fire engines would speed to the scene. But in a major Tokyo earthquake, roads will be instantly blocked by debris, and underground water mains will rupture, rendering fire hydrants completely useless. The fires will merge, fueled by the wooden homes and propelled by strong winds, creating unstoppable firestorms. In 1923, a massive fire tornado triggered by the earthquake swept through an open-air military depot, where thousands of survivors had gathered, killing 38,000 people in just 15 minutes. This is why the 2026 Master Plan prioritizes the installation of seismic circuit breakers. If we can stop the spark, we can prevent the firestorm. But even if we save the city from burning, we face a massive human crisis. The commuter trap. Every day, millions of people flow into Tokyo from neighboring prefectures like Chiba, Saitama, and Kanagawa. They rely on the most complex rail network in the world. When a major earthquake is detected, Japan's automated early warning systems like Euradus instantly cut power to the trains and apply emergency brakes, stopping high-speed bullet trains safely in their tracks. But once the trains stop, they will not start again for days or even weeks. Overnight, 8.4 million people will have no way to get home. In the past, emergency plans assumed these people would walk. But emergency managers quickly realized that having millions of panicked people flooding narrow, debris-strewn streets would cause massive stampedes and block emergency vehicles. Glass from shattered skyscraper windows would rain down from 50 stories high, turning streets into lethal corridors. The new reality of Tokyo's survival plan is brutal in its simplicity. Stay where you are. Office workers are being told to remain in their offices. Commuters are being told to shelter in place. But sheltering in place for 3 to 7 days requires an astronomical amount of resources. If a high-rise building loses power, the water pumps stop working, elevators shut down, thousands of residents living on the 40th or 50th floor will be completely cut off, trapped in concrete boxes with no running water, no working toilets, and no air conditioning. To survive this, the Tokyo metropolitan government is shifting the burden of survival from the state to the individual. High-rise condominium associations are now required to stockpile thousands of portable emergency toilets, maintain backup generators specifically to run one elevator for emergency services, and establish localized rescue teams within their own buildings. Ultimately, Tokyo's survival is a race against time and gravity. The city has spent trillions of yen and decades of engineering research preparing for its inevitable day of reckoning. On paper, it is the most prepared metropolis in human history. But a magnitude 7.3 earthquake directly beneath 37 million people is an experiment that has never been conducted in the modern world. Tokyo's high-tech skyscrapers will likely stand. Its bullet trains will likely stop safely. But whether the social fabric of the world's largest city can survive the chaotic, fiery aftermath is a question that will only be answered when the ground finally moves.